What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. This week, everyone knows pretty much most of the hot topics with news, the stupid Chad or Chaz thing that's going on. It's fixing to go down. They're fixing to get rid of it, so be looking forward to seeing that happen. The leftists have gone crazy with all these let's destroy statues and government property and stuff. All that crap needs to stop. They're idiots. They have no idea what the hell they're doing. And then of course the latest Juicy Smollett 2.0. The whole Bubba Wallace thing with NASCAR has just gotten out of hand. It too needs to stop. Obviously the whole news thing was a hoax, and they should be ashamed of themselves. NASCAR should be ashamed of themselves for bowing down to a racist group such as Black Lives Matter. So that's on them. The main thing I wanted to talk about this week is, oh boy, I just got done watching the Artemis Fowl movie, and I seen a lot of, I didn't watch any of the reviews or anything, but I saw a lot of YouTube videos where everybody's talking about how it bombed and how terrible it was and blah blah blah. But I wanted to formulate my own opinion on it, so I like to watch it. Most generally, I tend to watch movies anyway just to get my own perspective and give you guys an honest review on something. Artemis Fowl, they weren't really wrong. It was not a good movie. Most of the movie was just really, super cheesy. I felt like I was watching one of them sci-fi Canadian science fiction shows, or from the asylum. It was really done really badly. The acting was not that great either. I'm not a big fan of Colin Farrell. He's not in it for very long, but at least he can act halfway decent. The rest of these people, minus the head, the commander or whatever, most of them really can't act. I really didn't care for the dwarf guy at all. He was terrible. I mean, he's opening his mouth and he eats dirt, and it comes out his rear, spits out his rear. It was really? It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. You never see the villain. You have no idea who the villain is. They don't do any backstory on the villain or anything. So you have no idea really why the villain's doing it, other than, I want revenge, blah blah blah, It was dumb. It was a dumb reason. I don't know. There's a lot of aspects of this movie that just didn't make sense. I've never read the Artemis Fowl books anyway, so I couldn't tell. I know for a fact that they skipped pretty much the first book where he tortures some fairies or whatever, but this kid is not. They made him look like he's a good kid, but he's not. He's a bad kid. He's terrible. He treats people like crap. So from what I know of those who told me about the book. Um, so I don't know where Disney was going with this. They really screwed this one up bad. And like I said, it was very, very. I know it's Disney, but they made this movie like super kiddie-ish. I mean, everything was so cheesy looking. It reminded me of Spy Kids, and I absolutely hated that movie. But just it was a bad movie. I do not recommend Artemis Fowl. You will not enjoy it. I'm telling you right now. It was just bad. Bad, bad, bad all around. You won't like it. Alright, movie holics, let's move on to your B movie reviews. Um, this week is Action Week. Back to doing some action. We got two good movies to review this week. Both of them are Steven Seagal movies, so he's a typical action flick actor. So, but a lot of his movies are, most of them are B-rated. He's had a few A-grade movies, but a lot of them's been B-rated. Some of them straight to video. Didn't even get in the theaters, I don't think. But you see that from time to time with an action star. They'll have a few good hits, and then they're doing like a bunch of B movie action flicks or something. But anyways, the first one we're going to talk about is Under Siege. Now, I never watched this movie. We had a craze like in the late 80s and early 90s of a bunch of these hijacking movies, like they hijack, like Die Hard. Everybody knows about Die Hard. Movies similar to Die Hard. There was just so many of them where someone's hijacking a train or a bus, or a building, or a plane, and then you have to have somebody go in there and take care of the hijackers and get rid of them. This is another one. It's actually done on a naval ship. Steven Seagal plays, of course, this super badass naval officer, a Navy SEAL. Actually, he was, in order to stay in the military, he was told he had to become a cook, or I can't remember what the other thing was, but he chose to be a cook. So he's been cooking for this ship for a little while now. And basically, some bad guys show up and hijack the ship, and he's got to take them out to keep them from. They're wanting to offload some missiles from the ship. I think it was the Missouri, and they wanted to offload a bunch of missiles off the ship, and he had to stop them. He of course wins in the end. That's pretty much the whole plot of the movie. It's a good action flick. It's had, of course, Steven Seagal. It also had Gary Busey. He kind of played a bad guy. Tommy Lee Jones played the main bad guy. And then, of course, they've always got to have a chick in there to be Steven's sidekick. So Erica Elenick was in it as well. Uh, the acting was spot on. I definitely give the acting a 5. It was really good. Uh, the action sequences, they weren't too bad. I think they could have been done a little bit better, but this is the 90s, so, not a whole lot of CGI or anything like that. So I definitely give it a 4. It was pretty decent. The story, the plot, it was okay for what it was, but I don't know. I think it could have been better. The story was a little too similar to a lot of them hijacking action flicks. So I give it a 3. But it was alright. It was decent enough to make a decent movie. Overall, the movie, I give it a 4. It was pretty good. Wasn't bad at all. 2 thumbs up. I highly recommend it. Check it out if you've never seen Under Siege with Steven Seagal. It's a good flick. The next one we're going to move on to was the sequel to that. Yes, he did a sequel called Under Siege 2. Of course, it starred him. Had Eric Bogdanen as one of the bad guys. Everett McGill, he was one of the bad guys, and then of course you have to have a girl in there. Catherine Hegel played his daughter. The first one was done in '92, and it made about 156 million, so it didn't do too bad, and that's worldwide. The second one, the sequel, was done in '95, and it made about 104 million. So not as great as the first one, but it didn't do too bad. Did okay. The sequel, of course, he's on a train. It gets hijacked. And of course, he's got to save the day again. A lot of people didn't like this one as much, I don't think, because there wasn't really a lot of room to do a bunch of, sneaking around, taking out hijackers. I mean, it's a train. So there was a limit that they could do of action stuff they could do. But they still had a way of pulling it off not too bad. They did okay. It wasn't bad. Of course, all the acting, again, was top notch. Had some really good actors in it. Basically, the story is, he's trying to take his daughter out on vacation or something. He's on vacation. And these guys hijacked the train to take over some new type of satellite technology that causes earthquakes. They can use it as a weapon, target cities and stuff, cause earthquakes. So he's got to go in there and stop him. Alright, he ends up having to turn around and stopping him, Of course, his daughter's on the train. He's got to do a lot of fighting to try to protect her. I mean, it's a good movie. It's not bad. The story, I actually thought the story in the second one was actually a little bit better than the first one. For reasons of why the train was hijacked. Now, like I said, all the acting was pretty good. I give it a 4 because we had some really decent acting in it. The story overall, I still give it probably this one another 3. I mean, it was a little bit better than the first story from the first one, but like I said, there's so many of them hijacking movies, it's a little redundant by that time. Action sequences, well, I give it a 3. They were decent, but there was, like I said, they were limited on what they could do. And then, as far as I'm concerned, overall, it was probably a good 4. It was decent. Wasn't bad for what it was. I definitely give it 2 thumbs up. I highly recommend it if you're looking for a good action flick to watch. Check out Under Siege 2. Okay, that's all I have for you this week. Tune in next week. I'll have a couple more movies to review for you. As I've said many times before, give me your thoughts in the comments down below about what I said earlier and about the movies now. If you have any suggestions of some movies you would like me to review, go ahead and leave in the comments. Maybe there's a gem out there I've missed and I haven't seen yet. Tell me about it and I'll review it as soon as I can. And so until next time, I told you you'd be told the truth, and you just been told.